Hey guys, today I'm sharing with you my banana cake recipe, my banana sponge cake recipe. So good. If you've got some overripe bananas, this is perfect for those. In a bowl here, I have some granulated sugar. Into that, I'm going to add in some softened butter at room temperature. You can just pop it in the microwave for about 45 seconds. And we're going to start creaming together our butter and our sugar. Just going to mix this together for about 5 to 8 minutes or so. I prefer going 8 minutes because you're really going to get an amazing texture. And after every minute, I'm going to take my spatula, run it around the sides of the bowl, and after just 5 minutes alone, you can see how amazing and smooth that texture has become. This is just butter and sugar. That's all it is. It's so smooth and creamy. I'm gonna go ahead and just scrape the sides and go for another few minutes or so because I really wanna make sure and get some air whipped into it. I wanna make sure every granule of sugar is incorporated with that butter. So I'm gonna continue mixing this for another few minutes or so, about 8 minutes in total. After that 8 minutes, I'm going to start adding in my eggs one at a time. All the amounts will be listed below in the description box. I'm going to mix in each egg for about 30 seconds. Add in my second egg and mix that in for about another 30 seconds. After that 30 seconds or so, I'm just going to scrape all the sides and make sure and get the bottom as well of the bowl to make sure there are no pockets of anything at the bottom. Now I have 4 overripe bananas here. I'm going to go ahead and peel those. You can use anywhere from 3 to 4 for this cake. And break them up into small pieces and add them directly into our butter, sugar, and eggs. Will always say how blessed I am for my recipes because this was also one of those recipes where I had some bananas and I wanted to make something and this recipe came together and it is just perfection. If you want something a little bit more rich, lighter than a banana bread, definitely make this. It is such a crowd-pleasing little treat. Perfect for birthdays or anything. It's amazing. I'm adding in about a tablespoon of vanilla extract. I really want that flavor throughout the cake. You can also use mixed essence if you have that. I'm going to mix that in. Now over to our dry ingredients, I have some cake flour here, some baking powder, some ground allspice, ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, as well as some salt. I'm going to go ahead and sift all of these dry ingredients, and I am using cake flour like most of my cakes because it gives you a very light texture. I'm going to add in my flour about maybe a quarter at a time, a third at a time, and I'm using my spatula to mostly incorporate the flour. Then add in a little bit more. Try and make sure all those spices are incorporated throughout everything. You don't want to overwork your flour. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the last bit of my flour at this point. And as I start to mix it in, this is where I'm going to go ahead and add in my milk, my whole milk. Again, all the amounts will be listed below in the description box. Now I'm going to continue mixing this. You want to make sure that your oven is preheated to 350 degrees. Mix it until everything is incorporated. Now I have a cake pan here and I have some unsalted butter that I've taken and rubbed around the sides and the bottom of the bowl, the pan, and I'm going to add some flour. I'm going to shake that flour around all around the sides and the bottom, turn around the pan as you go, and then I'm going to add my cake batter to there. Adding in the bananas while we mixed it leaves these little chunks of bananas throughout, which is these amazing pockets of flavor. So good. Scrape it off, make sure it's nice and even, give it a couple taps, and let it bake for about 35 minutes or so until nice and golden brown on top. You will see the edges start to pull away. You can also do a toothpick test in the center. Just insert a toothpick. If it comes out clear, you're good to go. I'm going to let that cool in your pan for 15 minutes before placing it on a cooling rack or your platter to cool completely. So in the meantime, let's make our cream cheese frosting. I have an 8-ounce bar of softened cream cheese at room temperature. I'm just going to cream that together until nice and smooth. And then I'm going to add in a teaspoon or so of vanilla extract. Give that a mix. This cream cheese frosting, my little ones love it so much. They just like to eat it straight off by itself because it tastes just like cheesecake. And it's just a few simple ingredients. Mix together that vanilla extract really well. And we're going to add in some unsalted butter that is nice and soft. That's 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And we're going to mix that in really well until nice and smooth. Then we're going to start adding in our confectioner's or powdered sugar gradually so it just doesn't go all over the place, and mix that in. And this cream cheese frosting, you want to set it in the fridge for, 15 minutes or so to kind of firm up. And it is so delicious. So try to not finish it all by the time that you have to frost your cake. Because trust me, it tastes just like cheesecake. So good. So I have my cake here. It's cooled for about 15 minutes in the pan. I'm going to flip it over and it should come off really nice and easily. And I'm going to let that cool completely before I put my frosting on. Now I have some nuts in a Ziploc bag here and I have a rolling pin. I'm just going to crush it to create different textures, a finer crumb and a larger crumb. You can use a food processor or a blender to finely pulse that so it's nice and crumbly. After my cake is completely cooled and our frosting has come out of the fridge, it should firm up lovely. We're going to go ahead and frost our cake. Now, if you want, you can make 2 smaller cakes out of this and use the frosting as well in the center so you have a layered cake. That's completely up to you. I'm just going to do 1 large cake today. And the frosting is really nice and firm, and we're going to place it on our cake. If you want to set it out for about 5 minutes before frosting your cake so that you don't get too much crumbs in your frosting, you can definitely do that. Because sometimes if the frosting is too hard, it can kind of break up your cake a little bit. Then just top it with your nuts, and that's it. I mean, you can get as fancy as you want with this, but it's as simple as that, really. It is really fluffy, like a sponge cake, but super moist with little pockets of banana flavor all throughout. Top with that nice crunchy nuts. You can use pecans or walnuts, and it is so good. So good, so good. Just amazing. I will have all the amounts listed below in the description box for you guys. If you try it and you enjoy it, let me know. It's so easy. Use up all those overripe bananas that you've got, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Add in a whole block of cream cheese, which is 8 ounces. Okay. That is funny, isn't it? That's hilarious.